In the last session, we discussed about what is active and inactive relationship as part of Power BI. The active relation, we can create only one active relationship between tables, right? So at a time, right? You cannot create more than one active relationship between tables. That's what we discussed. The active relation propagates filter to other tables. Look here, the solid line. This one represents the active relationship, which means the calendar table, the date column filters the sales fact table. It propagates the filter from calendar table to sales fact table. What is this? This one also indicates the relationship, but this is inactive relationship. The inactive relationship, it does not pass filtering. It doesn't do anything by itself. It requires some treatment. Either we have to use DAX function to activate the inactivate function, inactive relationship. The other option is we can create a role playing dimension. We can create a role playing dimension. So we have seen how to create active relationship and also how to create an inactive relationship, and we have used a DAX function to activate the inactive relationship between the tables using use relationship function. How many of you remember use relationship function? Okay. So today what we will do is we will look at another approach. Instead of creating an inactive relationship, we will just duplicate this date table so that you will have two different date tables. So this date table will point to order date, other date table points to ship date. If you want to find out the sales breakdown by ship date, we will create another date table. In that date table, the date column and ship date will link it. So in this case, with so here already it has a active relationship between the date and order date column. Hence we can find out the total sales by order date. But since we cannot create more than one active relationship to find out, right? So in our case, we want to find out the total sales by ship date. Obviously, we have to create one more relationship, but if you create more than one relationship, the first relationship will be considered as active relationship. Whatever the relationship that you created subsequently, that will be considered as an inactive relationship. So instead of creating inactive relationship, we will duplicate this table, date table in this case, okay, and then what we will do is we will link that table with ship date to get the total sales by ship date. Now the question is, by duplicating this date table, we are end up with creating more number of tables. Is it really okay? Is it okay? It's fine, but because if you the calendar table or date table, it will not have millions of records. It will not even have 1 lakh records, 100,000 records. So in that case, you can duplicate the table, okay? But usually we use the DAX function, which is nothing but the use relationship function, using which we activate the inactive relationship till the computation is over. Okay, once the computation is over, it will reset it back to inactive relationship. Which one? The use relationship function. Now we will take a look at the second approach, the role playing dimension. What is role playing dimension? Why do we call this a role playing dimension? A single dimension which plays multiple role. That's why we call that as a role playing dimension. Look here, this is what we did it in the last session. We created one DAX function. Look here. So sales by ship date. So the calculate function, the first argument is sum of sales amount. Second argument is the use relationship. This is using this function, we enabled the inactive relationship to active relationship. So here these two columns, calendar table, date column, and then in this table NC sales table, ship date. You link these two things so that I can get to know the sales amount, the sales breakdown by the ship date. So this is the sales amount by order date, this is the sales amount by ship date. So this is called your measure. This measure I just dragged and dropped it here, along with, if you look here, when you select a visual, so you can see that what are the columns that we have used it, and from which all tables that we have used, which columns, that you can see it on the right side also. For example, if you hover the cursor on top of this column, so this column quarter comes from calendar table. You can find that one easily there. Yeah, recording is going on. Yeah. 1 second. Recording is going on. Correct. Let me enable this one also.
Recording in progress.
Zoom also enabled it. Okay. Fine. So this is my DAX function. It's not a DAX function, it's a measure. In the measure, I have used the DAX function. We will see what is measure later point in time. So you just drag and drop this one. So you will find so when I scroll down here, I can see that, see each quarter, right? So 4 quarters. Actually, we have 4 years of data is there in this. So each quarter we can see that the sales. So but when you see here, the sales amount by order date is this much, sales amount by shipped date is this much. There is a difference, but overall total is same. Okay, overall total is same. Okay. Now the same thing, what we will do is, without using DAX function, how we can find out the total sales by shipped date. I just go to the Power Pivot. So we can see that we have only one calendar table is there. Simply what I do is, I look here, this is my inactive relationship, right? So I activated this inactive relationship using use relationship function in my measure. Now what I do is, I just duplicate this calendar table. How to duplicate a calendar table? You go to the data view, and then you can see the calendar here. So this is my data set that are part of my calendar table. So next what I do is, I just go to the new table, calculated table. Okay, write a DAX function to create a new table. Simply, if you want to duplicate this one, there are couple of options are available. So what I am going to do is, ship date calendar is equivalent to, we have something called calculate table. It is a DAX function using which also we can do. So already I have a calendar table, isn't it? So if you look at here, calendar is a function, calendar auto is a function, this is all DAX function. The calendar, so this calendar is surrounded by single quote. That means this is the table name. Look here, this is the table name. I am going to select this one. That's it. So you can use a filter for comma. First argument is table, comma filter, you can use it. But filter is optional. If you don't specify filter, what will happen is, it's simply, this calculate table will return a table. Okay. So if you see on the right side, the newly created calendar date table is available. We just simply copy pasted it using calculate table function. So now what I do is, I will go to the Power Pivot. Ship date calendar is there. I just move this closer to my fact sales table, NC sales, and here what I am going to do is, I am going to remove this relationship for the time being. Before that, I will tell you one more time. I just give you a quick recap. The calendar table date column is linked with NC sales order date. This is the active relationship because the line is solid. The second one is inactive relationship. When I keep the cursor on top of this one, the dashed line, which is nothing but the inactive relationship, in both the table, the date and ship date got highlighted, right? So but the date and ship date is inactive relationship. What I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this one. Since we can create only one active relationship between the tables at a time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the inactive relationship. I'm going to create this date with ship date. Okay, already date with order date is there. Now I'm going to link this one with this one. And if you, to make sure that whether you, whatever you, the column that you dragged and dropped, right? So you should drag and drop the date with ship date only. Okay, to confirm that, just keep the cursor on top of it. Yes, date and ship date got linked. Just give me a second. Somebody is okay, I'm back. So here now we don't have any inactive relationship. We can rename this column also, this table also. Instead of calendar, you can say in order date calendar, something like that. Okay, ship date calendar, any of this one is, let it be there. This table is just a copy of this one. Okay, this is just a copy of this one, that's all. Okay, now what I'm going to do is, so I just go to the report canvas. This one, look here, this visual now became some problem, right? It came up with some error because we removed the relationship, right? Inactive relationship between the tables. Even if you use the DAX function to activate the inactive relationship should be there here. So there should be a relationship, inactive relationship should be there. Since I removed it, it is showing error here. Got it? So next one is table. I'm going to create another table. We're not going to disturb that one. So here I just go and pick up the sales amount from this one, and before that quarter, right? So I just select the quarter here, and the next one is sales amount. But here the quarter shows something wrong here. Just keep the cursor here, just click on this one, click on don't summarize. 1 2 3 4, correct, right? It is doing the correct job. And next one is, we will put some let me do one. I don't know what other columns that I used it. Yeah, sales amount. Okay, and now what I do is, I just copy paste this one, and the next step is in the ship date calendar. I'm going to pick up this quarter. Yeah, instead of this quarter, I'm going to pick up this quarter, and I'm going to move this up, and here I say don't summarize. There is a difference here, right? So there are some missing values are there. So ship date by sales amount, the sales amount by order date. So you can see both of them, the total sale is same, but quarter 1 2 3 there is some blank values there. That's why it shows something like this, 5 7. And look here in the third quarter, 5,792, and fourth quarter is also, there is a difference here. So this is another way of creating more than one relationship, active relationship between tables. The first approach is, you can use a DAX function to enable the inactive relationship active. The second option is create a role-playing dimension. This is called your role-playing dimension. The duplicate of this same table is called, because the same calendar table, in this case it plays sales date, sales amount by the order date in the same dimension, right? Just we renamed it for our understanding, but it's a duplicate of this one. Hence the same dimension, in this case it plays the different role. So using this dimension we can filter this table by ship date to get the sales amount. Got it? So this is the difference. So now you understood what is role playing dimension. A single dimension plays multiple dimensions, and the role playing dimension is, this concept is universal data modeling technique. It is not specific to Power BI. Remember this. Okay.